Some varieties of apples turn brown much, much faster than other varieties. I mean, some varieties are just listed as very slow to turn brown. So I've used Fruit Fresh or vitamin C and ascorbic acid for years to help keep ours from turning brown when we're getting ready to freeze dry them or for making pies or things. Have you ever heard of using salt? I saw a paper, an article in, I think it was the Utah Extension Service, that talked about using salt. And so I looked and I found a couple other places that people said that salt works great. And the amounts that I saw varied from 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt per cup all the way up to like a tablespoon of salt. Well, that'd be many times more. So I'm going to try a very, very small test. So only 4 samples. I'm going to put vitamin C in 2 of them, a 1/4 teaspoon, a 1/2 teaspoon, and then salt in 2 of them, a 1/4 teaspoon and a 1/2 teaspoon. We'll let them set in there for 10 minutes. Then we're going to take them out, pat them dry, lay them out here on the cutting board, and just let them set and see if they turn brown, or more importantly, how fast they turn brown. I think I can get all the slices I need out of one single apple so that they will be the same apple. We'll add the vitamin C, which is ascorbic acid, and then the salt to the other 2. A 1/4 teaspoon to the first one. Okay, we'll go ahead and put a little tag on there so I can remember it, and then we can switch those tags to the cutting board later. So hopefully we can keep those straight. And then the salt, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Start with 1 apple. I'm not going to peel it. I'm going to core it and make slices. So I want at least 2 slices per container, so that's not very much. And then after I get them in there and while it's soaking, then I'll clean off this mat, and then I can use this mat for setting them out and testing them. Okay. Okay. We want to see the open faces, so I'm going to go ahead and take a small piece off the top and bottom, because we want those surfaces, because that's the worst case scenario. And I could do 4 slices out of that, so I could get quite a few slices. Okay, so that gives 8 slices out of this one. So I'll take top and bottom, make sure that they get pushed down. Do the same thing with the other half. And then we'll start a timer, and I'll clean this off and we'll bring that back. And of course, by using the same spoon, I am getting a slight amount of cross-contamination of the liquid, but I don't think it should be enough to skew the tests much. And this is just first test anyway. We'll see what happens over time. If there's any clear winners, then we can look at possible future trials. Okay, that's going to give us 10 minutes. Going to get them out of there, pat them dry, and put them on here. So I've got that started. They're all within 1 minute of each other, so now we'll see how they go over time. I'll switch that to a time lapse and we can all watch it go. I did a quick comparison of salt versus ascorbic acid for keeping the apple slices from turning brown. The apple I used for this was a Golden Delicious, and it was a type that does not turn brown very fast anyway. So I set it out. I'll show you the whole experiment, but I forgot the control slices for an hour and a half. So the experimental slices are on the cutting board or the cutting sheet for about an hour and a half before I remembered to put control pieces out there. So we'll look at that and see how they did. These next few seconds will cover about 7.5 hours of the apples setting out. I was really surprised at how well all of the slices did. You know, I did mess up on forgetting to put the control slices in till it was almost an hour and a half into the test, but they still had 5.5 hours of sitting there during the test. I'll do this again with different amounts of salt, and I'll try to find an apple that tends to turn brown faster so that it shows up more pronounced on the video. These Golden Delicious just didn't turn brown very fast. The slices in the ascorbic acid seemed to shrink a little bit more than the ones in the salt. They all did pretty well, but definitely the half teaspoon of each did better than the quarter teaspoon. I almost forgot to answer the obvious question. Are the apple slices salty? In our taste testing, only one person was really quite sure that they could taste the saltiness, and even that wasn't 100% sure. However, everybody was able to tell that the ascorbic acid was on the apples. After the apples were rinsed, it was almost impossible to tell that they'd ever been in salt water. I will definitely be doing more testing both concentrations of salt and time in the salt, and rinsing them immediately afterwards. We'll see what happens with all of those.